Yeah, there you go.
So, Grantley Lynch, right at Home Medway, and other company, Connect by Tech, take one, action.
Welcome to the Cherrywood Podcast with me, the amazing Simon Burridge.
And me, Rachel Burridge.
Are you amazing?
No.
Take one, there's only going to be one take. What happens?
That's what everyone else does. So I thought I'd say it. Cool.
But a lot of people get that and go, what do I do? What do I do? You're like, just slap
It's
it.
at the start of every film you see, right? Yeah.
So here we go, we'll start again. Grantley Lynch from right at Home Medway and Connect by Tech.
Yeah, two companies. Thanks. Morning, Simon. Morning, Rachel. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Brilliant. Before we start, once again, how long do you think before the sign falls off the wall?
Oh, I'm going to go for...
I'd ask you the question first. Have you double taped it?
She always tries to help these guests out.
I'm going to go for 16 minutes.
Ooh,
That's not bad.
okay.
16
That's not
minutes
bad,
before
Shep.
that sign drops. And hopefully clears my head.
Doesn't
yeah.
hit you.
So we're going to go
Exactly.
when we get back to the sponsor, that's when we come back from the sponsors, that's when the timer starts. So we go to sponsor.
Today's sponsors are Giorgio Properties, your premier choice for expert building solutions. From concept to completion, trust them to turn your dreams into a reality.
Visit their website today at thegeorgiosproperties.com.
De Medici Associates, chartered, structural and civil engineers.
Based in the UK with a worldwide reach.
Visit their website on demediciassociates.com.
And now we're back.
Okay.
You didn't do your
16
I'm going to wait
minutes
around now.
Right. Hello, how you doing, mate?
I'm good. Weather's good. So I'm happy. Easily pleased. Bit of sunshine. Good to go.
Right,
Tell
tell
me
us
about
about
it.
yourself. Where were we going to go with first? Should we go with birth? Oh,
Yeah.
it went a bit clinky then. Sorry. We're going to go with birth, or we're going to go with what you did. How'd you get to where you are today? Because
Ooh.
when I first met you, it was right at Home Medway, but I know
Yes.
you've had many lives.
I have. Sounds a bit spooky, but yeah. So if I start where I was born, I was born in southeast London.
All right.
I'm a Londoner officially, and after that, God, what did we do? We, mum and dad, we moved to Barbados for a while, which is where my dad's from, which was very nice. And en route there, we spent 6 months in Jamaica, also nice. That's where mum's from. And then we came back to London, and then moved to Medway, sort of late 70s. So we've been in Medway for quite a while.
So you was in Barbados and Jamaica for a few years? Or?
Yeah, my sisters lived there for 7 years. They're all a bit older than me, but I was there for a couple of years.
All right.
And then
Nice.
obviously being back quite a bit because of family ties and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, wicked.
I love Barbados.
I've been to-
Barbados is like the party island of the Caribbean, isn't it?
It is nice. Yeah, they're both nice. They're both very different. The Bajan beaches you can't beat. It's like blindingly white sand, unrealistically emerald colour waters and so on. Jamaica's beaches are very good. Not quite as good as Barbados, but the interior, the rainforests, and there's a lot more to do. So my favourite island is whichever island I'm in at the time.
So the nearest I've been is Antigua, is it?
Yeah.
Near Barbados.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about 40 minutes.
I think it's sort of like it goes like that, doesn't it? And Antigua's
Yeah,
at
it's
the
like
bottom.
That's it.
Antigua's near Venezuela,
That's
and
right.
Barbados is
the most
the
easterly
one.
of the
I don't know if
yeah.
Antigua is the same as Barbados and that, but it's a tale of two sides. Really rough seas one side,
Absolutely.
really calm sea the other side.
So you can't swim, or
It's the
you're not meant to swim on the east coast of
yeah.
Barbados.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
Right.
It's savage.
It's horrendous, yeah.
It's
When-
beautiful on the other
it's
side, but
rocky.
the east coast is savage.
When we went there, it was just
Seaweed.
some seaweed had broken off from the ocean and
Yeah.
came in, and they were just taking lorry every time we opened up our curtains, they were taking lorry loads.
it was
of
a
seaweed
really
away.
weird seaweed phenomenon.
Yeah. And they said, this don't usually happen. I said, well, it's only happened because we're bloody here.
We're there, yeah. No, I love the Caribbean. Yeah, one of my favourite parts.
Do you get out there a lot now, or?
Yes and no, ish. So we try and go every few years. We're due to hopefully be back at the end of the year. We want our kids to understand where both of their
Yes, absolutely.
parents are from, and understand the culture and so on.
Mm.
But also, we try and balance that with seeing as much of the world as possible.
So did they meet in England?
Yes, they did.
Right.
Yeah, part of the Windrush generation.
Oh, I was going to ask that.
Yeah, typical Windrush. Dad came over. He was a trained mason, but then became an electrician here. And then mum was a nurse and then a midwife, which was a childhood dream. So,
and did they have any
amazing.
issues from a few years ago with the wind rash?
No, everything was done. If you knew my mum, she was like, no, correctly, do this on time, get it right first time. So all the paperwork was done way back correctly. But there wasn't.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but it was about passports and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I think there was a miss somewhere down the line. And, but no, thankfully my parents weren't part of that.
Brilliant. So how did you start out? You went to school, obviously. Well, I think you did.
Did I?
It's debatable.
I felt like, went to school. School was good. Enjoyed it. I somehow, don't know how, became the deputy head boy of my school.
Oh, okay.
So I must have paid the headmaster in sort of 50, in like Coke tops or bottle tops or something. But school sort of worked fairly hard. Got disillusioned around the middle, and then thought, oh, it's exam time, better knuckle down.
Yeah.
And then down the line went to uni, did computing science. So career, my passion work-wise, I always wanted to be a pilot. That was, if you said to me, what would I do for free? It would be fly planes and just let me do it for free. Just give me food and water and I'm good to go. Everyone's got their one thing.
Maybe an
That's a
aeroplane as well.
That kind of comes in kind of handy. So I always wanted to be a pilot. So when I realised I was short-sighted, and back in the 80s, you either had 20/20 vision or you didn't when it comes to being a pilot. I had to come up with something else. So I thought, I've been programming games, I've been playing computer games a lot. Let's try that. And I managed to destroy a hobby in 23 years. No, not really. I mean, had a wonderful 23-year career in IT. And I'm very grateful for it.
So you say you made games. Did you make games?
I did as well, yeah, on my Commodore 64. So any computer game fans out there, you'll know how old I am.
I'm the rival. I'm ZX
Oh, you're ZX Spectrum. I'm just going to shuffle over this way, Rachel, right? No, not really.
I had a mate who had a Commodore 64, but the insides was a ZX Spectrum. So it looked like a Commodore, and he'd be typing it out.
Oh, that's a true techie. Did he build it himself?
I don't know. I don't know how he got hold of it, but it was a Spectrum inside a Commodore body.
On the outside. Yeah, so I wrote... my first game was that I completed, because I found I would have been 12 when I was doing a lot of writing, 12, 13, code. And the joy was in getting bits of it to work. But doing a whole computer game was very, very, kind of a little bit boring when I had to do it start to finish and do it properly. So
I used to just get the magazines and copy the code.
Well, that's how I learned coding, like typing in other people's programs and changing it a bit. So I did a game. The first one was called Arena Ricky Goes Boxing, and that was a boxing game. Okay. And I had to finish that one because I used it for my GCSE computer studies. Love that. And then I did a game called Knight's Law. Never finished that. It was like a knight with a sword running around a castle, trying to get bits of a pentacle. A typical kind of platform game of the 80s, right?
What was it with the? What was that game? It was bird's eye view game.
Manic Mind?
No. Welcome Wizard.
Welcome Wizard.
Wizard, sorcerer, elf, and Valkyrie.
Was it Druid?
Oh, Druid? No. Can't remember what it was called.
Gauntlet. And I played it, and I played that in the arcades as well. Yeah. I was terrible as a kid.
I reckon, Gauntlet, I reckon Gauntlet was one of the first ones where if you kept popping money in it, you come back to life. They sussed it.
Yeah, that's all you had to do for a kid of that age.
If you had four mates, as long as one of you was still alive, you could put your other pound in. I was going to say quarter then, but I've never lived in America.
Yeah.
But you put your other 50p in, and then you're back in helping out.
Yeah, Gauntlet, that's it. And on the Commodore 64, they brought out a game called Druid, which was like an off spin of, it was basically Gauntlet.
Right, yeah.
And I had that as well. And so to answer your question, then I started off in IT, sort of as a techie. Systems administration on Unix systems was really what I did for much of my career, and then figured out, actually, if I want to go into business down the line, I better learn to manage staff and people. So stop playing with the techie stuff and start being a manager. So went through the management route. And the last role I had, so I was mainly in the financial services sector. So I worked for 3 or 4 investment banks, a hedge fund, and a stock exchange. So my last role was a global role, where that's why we lived in Frankfurt.
All right. Okay.
I was had a global role there, so I had Singapore, New York, and Frankfurt.
Love Singapore.
Yeah,
So
Singapore's
hot,
great. Yeah.
So hot.
It's so clean.
It is.
Everything is correct. No chewing gum, no spitting, nothing. All the things that you see every day in Medway.
Yeah.
yeah. They just shoveled it all over to here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is what it looks like if you don't follow the Singaporean model. Yeah.
So going back to all your gaming, would you actually revisit it now? You know, some of the old games that you used to do, would you go back and think, I wonder if I could do this and sort of just try and revisit it?
Well, I know for a fact
I still do.
I know for a fact he's still gaming. We were just talking about how we like Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto. I love those ones.
Please don't admit to anyone that I have.
Oh, it's happened. Grand Theft Auto.
Because my wife
Red
hates
Dead Redemption.
She said, make sure the children don't see that. My kids are 14 and 15.
They've been on that.
Their friends will show.
You know what I mean? And my wife still says to me, can you play that at midnight? Or just play it over there. Or go outside and play it.
Once again, you just got to go through Medway.
Well, I wonder if it was based on Medway. It was literally based on...
There used to be a London version. Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah, London.
Oh,
There was a Grand Theft Auto London. And that was on the first Sony PlayStation.
Okay, I missed that. I missed that genre.
Version. Yeah.
Small world.
So would you ever go back to sort of making your own? Sort of like you've developed one and said that, I didn't finish it. Do you think you could
I only
go
finished
back?
one. That was Arena Ricky Goes Boxing. Because I had to. Because it was for my... I was forced to do it. It's my GCSE, right?
This isn't the route I thought this podcast.
No, you're going to talk about my care company. We're talking about me playing computer games. Yeah, living the dream, people. Living the dream. Would I code again? You know what? It's funny because games are so sophisticated now, and I think that's why the gaming industry is worth a lot more than Hollywood film industry now. They've cottoned on to what people want. And I think to myself, I don't think I would compete with a 19-year-old gamer of today.
Exactly.
Versus...
They require a storyline that's as good as a movie. Half of them.
The whole thing. Yeah. And you've got teams of story writers. You've got teams of
graphic
just on the graphics. And then there's the whole physics. Oh, I didn't tell you. I attempted. I love Formula One as well.
Right, yeah.
I attempted to write a Formula One game in about 1984, 85. And very quickly realised how much physics goes into such a game. And so I got the graphics, I had the desire, and then got bored of it. I thought, God, this is really hard. This is really hard.
They're amazing because it is literally they've got to create the same laws as Earth for them to be realistic.
All the physics of an F1 car, and things like wind direction, gravitational pull, all of that is all in the games now.
It's the same with golf games, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
but then you go sort of non-reality like Mario Kart and stuff that we play with the kids, and then it's just so unrealistic.
It's escapism.
It's
equally good.
There's still some reality
Equally
there.
good.
Obviously, there's still a little bit of reality there when they're actually driving normally.
Yeah.
I suppose you still got the same grip and all that business, but
we have family arguments, don't we?
Mario Kart kicks off
in our house.
Yeah.
Well, I'm winning. No, I'm winning.
You know what's interesting? I was watching last night. My son was playing a driving game. I cannot remember what it was called. But games have become a lot simpler now. So on one end of the scale, you've got unbelievable reality like the Red Dead Redemption games and so on. And then there's almost this movement back to the simple, basic platform games or a
Tetris.
guy in a car. Yeah, I still love that.
Do you know what I think it is? I think they haven't experienced the evolution of gaming. So when they go back to what we were used to, you watch them end up playing with the old
tennis.
Remember the Atari thing, right?
Yeah.
And someone said, I've got a tennis game, and you see it, and it's one line here, one line there.
And there's a
go,
ball.
beep.
Yeah. What would they make
That's
of
it.
that?
That is it.
I've still got my ZX Spectrum.
I've still got my
It's in the
Commodore
loft.
64.
It's in my mum's loft somewhere. And
Have you still got your games as well?
Yeah,
me too.
But you can just get this app, right? I think I've got it on my phone. It's got every game on it, and you just plug it in, and it plays them.
Nostalgia.
You used to play them on the tape.
Yeah.
It just plays them from a phone or device or something. I don't know how illegal that is saying that. I don't know if it's a dodgy app or not. I don't know. I've not really used it.
There are some questions best never asked, Simon, right? Honestly.
I don't know if it's a dodgy app or not. You know what it's like with Android phones. You can do whatever you want on them compared to iPhone.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
Anyway.
So you went down the old IT sort of business route, and then you decided to get into management and decide to manage teams and everything like that. How did you then take the step from that to actually going ahead and owning your own business?
What you're really asking me is, at what point did you experience your midlife crisis? That's what I'm hearing in that question, right? Yeah, gentleman of a certain age. Yeah, got it. So I didn't buy a Harley Davidson. I decided to jack in my IT career and start a care business. So I think if I'm really honest, I think I've always had a bit of an entrepreneurial flair deep down, and my mum was very sort of encouraging to get into business and go up the food chain as far as you can. So there was always that kind of subtle message. But I think my first real sort of attempt was in 2009. I designed something called a tidy bag, which was a glove that was turned into a little bag, and it was to help you tidy up after your dog, basically. And I launched that at Crufts. I think it was, the dog show back in 2009. Yeah.
So it's like a plastic glove. You can pick up the turd.
Yeah.
And then just
I was trying to show some. I'm trying to be polite, right?
Pick up the shit and then you do your glove inside out.
Yeah, and it turns into a little carrier bag. So this is long
That's a really
before.
Good idea.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I designed it, patented it for as far as all of Europe, and then went off to China, got it designed. So I made a couple trips over there to get the design, met the various factories, and that was a lot of fun.
And then it gets stolen.
And then, that's what I thought was quite likely to happen, because they asked me some questions, and I thought, why are you asking me that? Like, what's the name of the council you want to approach to do? And I thought, why? So you can undercut me and go to them. So I just said, well, I'm working with various options at the moment. But I did that for a couple of years. I was working at a hedge fund then, so it was like a little side hustle. And then I thought, I've got a bit of a taste for that, but I didn't fancy giving up a career at that point. So we had 2 young kids at that stage. So I continued with the career thing, and then I thought to myself, at some point I want to do something that's a little bit more meaningful. So I'd worked in like a lot of investment banks and that sort of one end of the spectrum, and I thought it would be nice to actually, in my career, I know it sounds cliche, but give a little something back. And my mum and dad were getting older, so I was starting to look at the world through a slightly different lens at that point. So nobody really thinks of care until you need to.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think I was like that, where I realized just as I was going to Frankfurt in 2013, we were starting to see some changes with my dad, and like in his cognitive ability, in his cognition, and very subtle, but it was one of those things. No, I'm all right. So I really relate to our clients when they say, my dad needs some care, but he doesn't really want to. He doesn't accept it.
Yeah.
So we went through that. So it was that evolution, and by that time I was in Frankfurt, and every time the phone rang, I was like, "Is Mum all right?
Yeah.
Is Dad all right? Great. Then I'll call you tonight." And I was always in that cycle. And then I thought one day, you know what? I don't want to get that phone call, and I'm all the way over here. So I started planning a bit of an exit strategy. And it was just, what am I going to do? I don't want to come back and be the guy that goes to London every day, doesn't really know the neighbours, which that was me. I was out early, back late. And one of the reasons I went to Frankfurt is I got to spend a lot of time with my kids, which I would have not been able to do that had I worked in London. So that was a great 5 years of just brilliant. And they're really laid back, surprisingly. I thought it would be very regimented.
But are you good with
other languages? Aren't they?
Am I good with other languages? Is that where I'm supposed to speak in German?
No, you don't have to. Just wondered. Could you get by? Would you have meetings in English and things like that?
Right. So I wasn't fluent to answer that question, but I could get by with day-to-day living. So if going to the shops was dead easy, I understood I would say 2/3 of what my team was saying, but then they'd speak really quickly sometimes.
And you
and I'd say, ask them to slow down. But if I had to deal with a government agency or deal with, have a medical appointment, dental appointment, go to a hospital, I could do all of that in German. It sounded horrible. Amazing. But, I used to think to myself, God, how bad this must sound. But
did you dream in German?
No.
All right. You've usually mastered it if you've dreamed.
I definitely didn't master it. You know what? German is a funny language because the vocabulary is dead easy to learn. So, for example, the word dog is Hund, right? Spelled H-U-N-D. A bit like hound. So if you think of hound, Hund, dog, right? Easy. And then there's so a lot of the vocabulary is kind of like that. You can understand it. What I found quite difficult was the grammar. So they have concepts that we just don't have in English, like something called verb trend bearer. I won't bore anyone with what that is now on the podcast, but we don't have that concept in English. It's where they put the verb in position 2, take the first bit off of the word, put that right at the end. And so coming from English, that was little things like that was a hard concept.
Yeah. Absolutely, because our daughter does it as well. And
she's studying German.
German, and she loves it, absolutely loves it. Because we said to her before she started at secondary school, they make you do a language, you've done a little bit of Spanish, you've done French. She said, I'd love to do Spanish. And she got in there, she went, actually, I'm obsessed with German, and she's so good at German. Absolutely,
it's an enjoyable language. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
Because I find it quite a harsh language.
It's
quite on the tongue, whereas Spanish is
more poetic.
And Italian is very,
Italian
lovely.
is beautiful.
But German can be quite harsh sometimes.
They almost sound aggressive. When they're being nice.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It doesn't mean to be.
Not at all. No.
And so, like some of the stuff she's tried to teach us, and we're sitting there like, oh my God, that's amazing, Tills.
Yeah. I mean, our children weren't far off. They weren't quite fluent. My son was really good, and he got a lot of the pronunciation. So there's some pronunciations again that we just don't use in the English language. My son mastered those because he was so young when he went, and he didn't know he was learning it. Just picked it up. Whereas my daughter, being 20 months older, she learnt it in a rote fashion, like how I learnt it.
You're learning it knowing the meaning behind it, where your kids are learning it just to learn how to communicate. They don't know the meaning behind the why they're saying it like that.
But
they drop in and out of English and German all the time, which
and they watch things in German, so they pick up little phrases as well, and everything like that all goes in without them even knowing.
If a kid goes to a German school, if a kid goes to a school that's speaking a completely different language, he's either got to work out what they're saying, or he's just alone.
And they learn pretty quickly.
They learn quick.
No filter. No filter. No, you can't. It was. I remember our son, after about 3 months, we were watching something on TV in German, and this little nursery rhyme came on. And my son hadn't spoken a word of German for about the first 3 months. And he just sang along with this tune with a perfect, what sound to me with my English ears, a virtually perfect sing-along to this nursery rhyme. I was like, wow. And then after that, he would just drop into German and drop into English. And we put our kids into an international bilingual school. So it was 50, half and half. 2 reasons. One is we always knew we were going to come back to the UK, if I'm perfectly honest. And the other reason was we wanted them to experience another language and a culture where you have to come out of your comfort zone. Because I actually had some opportunities in America, and I thought it's too close culturally I don't think they would benefit as much as, right, you don't speak a word of German, crack on. Go kids, go learn it, right? Which is what we did.
Brilliant. Excellent.
Because our daughter, we were shocked when I think we were down at the dockyard, or we were somewhere like that, somewhere historical, and we were listening to one of, like you go into these little videos and they play in different languages, and it was a German interpretation of it, and she was going, all right, okay. I said, do you understand that? She went, every word. I was like, that's amazing, Tilly,
And that's the other thing. I found I could understand a lot more than I could speak. And I was a little bit embarrassed to speak sometimes because I thought, I don't want to sound like the village idiot, right? And
like the basic.
Yeah, literally. And but they wanted to speak in English all the time, especially when they realised I was from England. It's like, Grantley, so you're not American. It's really good to,
they love it.
Say this. And I'd say, okay, I'll say it for you. But
2 of my children live in Portugal. With my ex-wife, and they've been there since 2-3 years old, so 2 and 4. And my youngest, obviously, like you say, I used to pick them up from school in Portugal. They used to be rowing with each other in the school. As soon as they burst out the doors, the row will continue in English. And they didn't even bat an eyelid. That's what they did.
Because they associate your face with speaking English.
Exactly.
Right?
Then,
that's what kids do.
So my youngest kid, every time I went over there, he was like 12, 13, went over there. And we went into a shop and said, I need you to ask this person. So I think we was in like a cake shop or something. So we asked for certain cakes. And he went up to the counter and he asked for it. And he was nervous because he's 12. Do you know what I mean?
And they're finding themselves.
And the woman smiled. And he said, I don't know why. She sort of laughed at me. He said, I thought I said that, but right. So she's smiling because she's don't impressed. Look Portuguese and you're fluent in Portuguese.
Absolutely.
And he just thought they were taking them, laughing at him, Yeah, it's crazy. They pick up, they're like a sponge, and they know Portuguese instantly.
But I've always wanted to, like when you go in and get your nails done, and they speak Chinese or Japanese or that sort of language. I'd love to learn that and know what they're actually saying.
Well, there's a guy on Instagram, isn't there? There's an American guy.
That'd be awesome.
There's an American guy on Instagram does that. He purposely goes to get his nails done.
And then speaking the local
and then
dialect.
Speaking the local, and then he just bursts in and starts talking to him in it. And they're like, they're so shocked by it because it's so rare. So rare that someone, where we would learn that sort of language.
Mandarin, what I found when I started doing the tidy bags business, going to the factories and stuff, I thought, hey, I know what I'll do. I'll learn some Mandarin. And boy, was that was, firstly, even more of the sounds we just don't make. So there's a lot of buzzing sounds that aren't in the English kind of language. And then it's a tonal language. So one word can have up to 5 meanings, whether it's a high tone, low tone, mid tone, rising tone, or falling tone. Can have 5 different meanings.
Oh my God.
But the word is the same. And Thai is like that as well.
Yeah.
I learned a bit of Thai. That was another tonal language. So as well as the sounds that we don't make and all of that, there was this whole concept of a tonal language before you even get to the grammar. So I had some fun with that.
We have some Thai friends, and they can have a conversation through 3 different rooms. I don't know if it's because of the tone, but if we were to do it in English, we wouldn't understand a word the other person was saying. But they talk in a way that they can't they?
Yeah, they could be in the other room over there, have a you and know exactly what they're doing.
And I'm thinking it's got to be the tone they're using.
It's a tonal language.
It's carrying along.
Thai, Mandarin, and some of the other kind of Far East and Southeast Asian.
I've learned today. I didn't realise you could have one word with 5 different tones that mean completely different things.
Yeah, I learned the hard way because I thought I'll go to Beijing and Ningbo and other places I went to in the mainland, and I'll have a few utterances. I thought, oh my gosh, this is the hardest language I've ever tried to learn in my life. Yeah.
I bet, blimey. So where were we before we jumped?
Sorry, we've gone all over the place. That's my bad.
No, it's our fault. We kept asking you questions on languages and stuff. So Frankfurt, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I loved it. It's a 5-year holiday. That's what we call that. Yeah. Nice. I mean, really, we did a lot of work, obviously. Yeah.
Because the Germans do have a similar personality to us as well, don't they? Like a sense of humour and everything. Sense of humour.
You know what? Yeah. It's a funny thing. Sometimes they say, I'm not sure if the Germans have this sense of humour, and
they do.
They're very, they don't smile and they're very direct. My personal experience. Can you
just tilt it to what you drive me nuts? After 50 episodes, she still doesn't know how to talk into a microphone.
Oh, bless you.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that's all right.
That literally sounds like my wife and I in the office. Exactly like this.
You want to see us when we're editing photos and video. We're so critical on each other.
Oh, amazing. Sorry. Crikey, what were we?
We're talking about the sense of humour of Germans.
And honestly, me personally, I found the Germans absolutely lovely people, unbelievably helpful. They're just direct. So if I give you an example of, say, if we're at a dinner party, right, and I needed the salt, this is how an English person would do it. Rachel, Johnny, terribly sorry to trouble you. If it's not too much bother, when you get a moment, would you mind just passing me the salt when you get round to it, if that's okay, right? In Germany, it would be just salt, please. Right? And it's not rude.
It's the same place.
But I like that. I kind of drifted into being more direct, and I found when I came back, you're like, Grant, what happened to you? Says, you're quite abrupt. I think, am I?
I'm so sorry.
So something happened in those 5 years. Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. So you got back from Frankfurt. What happened then? Straight into right at Home Medway?
Yeah, so I'd been I'd been talking to Right at Home for about 2 years before I started.
So while you were...
I did. It's part of a franchise.
Oh, I didn't realise
Right
that.
at Home Medway. I guess I thought, I'll do a franchise, and that's kind of like a turnkey business in a box.
Yeah.
No, it really wasn't. You still have to. It's a bit like having a business mentor.
Okay.
The mentor isn't going to do it for you. They just say, these are some things that can work.
Are the guidelines.
Choose amongst these things and put your own flair on it. So they were really helpful. I looked at several.
I saw it out of the corner of my eye.
It's gone. How did we do?
You thought you did.
I thought because I touched the microphone. So
I reckon that's gone. Surely that's gone.
That's past the 16 minutes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I lucked out. Got it wrong. But yeah, so I looked at various industries. I thought about something in IT, and I thought I've kind of done that to death, and I want to do something different. And I actually wanted to do something where I know this sounds cliche, but every day when I'm done, I think, there's a whole bunch of people whose lives are that bit better because I decided to do X, Y, Z today. And I think when I look back, that's probably from my mum because she was a midwife, and I saw my mum save people's lives on the street a couple of times where people have passed out. Yeah. So my mum was probably my first hero, I would say. Yeah. So I was always going to do something like that. Didn't think the world needed a male midwife, so I thought I won't do that. And I thought the care industry kind of appeals to me. And I thought when I left the financial services sector, nothing can be as heavily regulated as the banks. Oh my good gosh. It is as bad. The regulation, or sometimes, I won't say over-regulation, the necessary regulation is as bad. So I've gone from the frying pan straight into the fire in terms of a lot of the regulation.
Absolutely.
But other than that, best move I ever did. Every day I get up, can't wait to get in.
It gives you a sense of purpose, doesn't
can't
it?
wait
It's
to get in. And I don't mind staying late. And I don't mind doing things because it doesn't feel like work to me. I'm just doing things that I enjoy. I love speaking to families. Sometimes, people come to us in one of two scenarios. They're either coming to us, where they say, well, you know what, I think I've noticed some changes with mum. I live in Australia. Every time I come back, mum's declined a little bit. Can you help out? Just get one of your staff to maybe go around, a couple of times a week, make sure she's all right, make sure she takes her medication. And it's all nicely, all softly. Category 1. And then we've got category 2. Really, if I touch that again, right, I'm going to have to give you guys some money. I've done it about 99 times. I'll tell you what, I'll sit like...
You just
hang on, I'll
your
just
hands,
sit like this.
You talk with your hands, that's fine.
I'm a hand talker as well, hence why
I didn't realise I was. And I realised I am touching that every couple of minutes. We started off... and then the other time people come to us is where they say, I can't take it anymore. Dad is waking me up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, ringing me on the hour, every hour. Can you help? And then we parachute it. I'm doing it with my hands again.
You're clear now. You're clear. You've got this space now.
This is my safe space.
That's your dance space.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have to sort of parachute in. Both are equally enjoyable. But if we can start off early, it's always better, always easier. But sometimes we have to parachute in, or the other time we have to parachute into a situation is where, hospitals are under a lot of pressure to discharge people quickly because they don't want to have the bed blocking issue.
Yep.
So the reality on the ground for that is sometimes people are discharged
too soon?
A little bit prematurely. And then we get a phone call. Dad's just been discharged. Can you help? Right, what do you need? And it's like, okay, guys, down tools, emergency, and we go out.
Yeah.
And when we bring that together, that feeling, if I could put it in a bottle and sell that, I really would. Because I don't know. It's just
you can't really describe. It's not the joy. It's almost like the satisfaction of actually being able to help someone that is in a crisis as such.
Putting out somebody's fire, and you go home and you think,
I made a little bit of difference.
I've made a little bit of a difference to someone other than me.
Life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I love that, because I used to work in GP land, as I call it, and it was that if you could just make that one person, old, young, whoever it was, if you made that one person smile and have a good experience at a GP surgery, that made my day. You know, all the 20 phone calls that you get of people swearing at you, you put those to the side and you grow your onion layers, I call it.
Yeah, your layers.
And you grow your onion layers. But if you made that one difference and that one person left smiling and said, thank you so much for your help, that made the difference. And that was the sort of the positivity that came out of it. And you
it's
actually
like
thought,
not an adrenaline, like an endorphin rush, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So for people that don't really know too much about Right at Home Medway,
sure,
give them your minute.
Right, like Grantley Lynch from Right at Home Medway.
You can have in a minute if you want.
So basically what we do in a nutshell is we provide care in the home for adults 18 years of age or over. Obviously, a lot of what we do is with the elderly. So we're looking after people living with dementia, and we don't say suffering with, we say living with, because we're all about positivity and trying to give people as much of the best out of the rest of their life safely as is possible. So a lot of what we do, our language is intentionally tempered. But in terms of what we do, we provide medication assistance. We can provide meal assistance. We can even move somebody in and do 24-hour live-in care as well. We've got, I think, about 4 of those clients on the go at the moment, 4 or 5.
24 hours, 7 days a week?
Yeah. It's really, that's a bit of a specialist area. We do quite a bit of that. And interestingly, and this came out of COVID where this really boomed, we do companionship as well.
Right.
So,
that's a good idea.
I tell you why it's really boomed is because we don't live in the families that were prevalent when we were kids. Now somebody will live up north, somebody will live overseas, and so on and so on. So quite often, as their parents age, they have got nobody nearby. They've got family, but they're overseas. So quite often the daughter or the son might say, can you go with mum, say, once a week to get her hair done and maybe go for a coffee? So we can do that. So we pay people to have a chat. So if you'd like to work for Right at Home, give us a call.
For the 24-hour thing, I'm happy to donate Rach.
You're not the first person that said something similar. In fact, we've had a lot of ladies come and say, I'll come and do living so I can get away from him, But so that's in a nutshell what we do in our care company. We are a private company, so clients come to us privately predominantly, but we also work with hospitals, GP surgeries. A lot of people know what we do. You can check us out. We're very humbled and fortunate that we're at the top of pretty much most measures. So if you go onto homecare.co.uk, we're number 1 right across Medway. If you look at our CQC rating, I believe we're the highest rated care provider as well.
So is that what makes you stand out from the others then? It's the positivity, it's the nature of your company, it's more the personal touch than anything else. Because carers and caregivers in the past have got bad reputations and have had a lot of bad press, really, as such.
Absolutely.
And you have to almost fight doubly hard to push back on that, don't you?
Well, they're tarnished with all the same brushes.
I couldn't agree more. I think COVID actually showcased what a lot of carers do. So, for example, a lot of people would say just the carer, a term that you're not going to hear in our domain, definitely, because they are the lifeblood of what we do. They really, really are.
It's one of the hardest jobs, I believe, being a carer.
You know what? The same way,
also being a carer for someone that isn't a family as well. Do you know what I mean? Showing compassion.
You know what?
Constant.
You know what I would say? If you've been right, so I'm going to sort of drop a caveat here. One of the things that we do differently is the overwhelming majority of our caregivers are not from a care background, and that's intentional. So we've seen how a lot of companies treat their caregivers. So sometimes when they come to us, they've been at 3-4 care companies, and it's almost like they see us like the Antichrist. You know, like you're the office. I'll work with you, but don't come near me. And I think, well, no, we go out drinking with our staff. Not that we're alcoholics, but we go out socializing. You know, with our staff, we do social events. We've had barbecues. We do Christmas events. We give out presents at Christmas. We try and send out birthday cards, at the very least a message to WhatsApp groups, and so on and so forth, and try and bring them into the fold. And you know, I don't use the term "you work for us." No, you work with us. You know, we're a family business. Started off with 2 people back in 2018, and now we are sort of mid-60s.
Wow.
Fluctuate about 65 to 70 people.
That's
so
amazing.
we've, you know, it's a lot of people to organise and try and keep happy, but we try and make it fun. And a lot of our caregivers don't need to work. Some do, but not all do. And then what you're doing is you're tapping into the values of people that have no financial motivation, no financial need, no financial gain.
They want to be there.
They absolutely want to be with you.
I'm right. Am I right in thinking you've told me a story once in the past of someone, their parents had care, and then they decided to carry on themselves? Is that right?
Ah, wow.
Carers themselves.
Right. So, yeah, good old John. I'm gonna call his name. John, honestly, you're a legend. You know who you are, and thank you, firstly, for trusting us to look after your wife a few years ago. And he is literally one of our best caregivers. So he used to, and I've done a video on him, but I haven't finished editing that yet. But he used to run a multi-million-pound big trucking company, and he and his wife and some of his brothers, and he brought us in to replace another care company. And at the time, we couldn't, we just didn't have the capacity. And I said, look, I'm really sorry. You know, we can't help you at this stage for what you need. I said, and if we were to help, it would be like 7-8 weeks down the line, thinking that was a closure statement. And bless him, he said, oh, wait. I said, okay. He said, no, I believe in you. I've heard about what you guys are doing. I'll wait. So he did. And true to form, I mean, he's a man of his word. About 8 weeks later, we'd gotten through an extremely busy patch. And I said, right, we've got capacity now. We'll start looking after your wife. And we did. And she was a sweetie. She really, really was. And we cared for her for a couple of years. And we worked hand in hand with another care company called McNeil's Care. And he's a guy that, and I'll say this openly, one of the guys I really respected in the industry. And we had similar values. Anyway, once everything had, let's say, it had all come to an end, John had said, I'd love to work with you guys. And I said, okay, no problem. Thinking again, because he's busy. He was like busy in the Freemasons. He's busy doing a lot of dementia charities and organizations locally. He's a busy guy. And I thought, you want to come and work with us? This little us over here. And so I said, okay. I said, I'll get back to you in the coming months. And I thought, I'll give him a chance to think about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, our paths crossed again, and he said, listen, I meant what I said. And I said, you seriously want to do this, don't you? He said, I do. We took him on, and we've never looked back.
Wow.
Even in an industry where most females wouldn't entertain a male caregiver, Johnny's always the exception. When you meet him, he's the kind of guy that John could have looked after my mum.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'd have felt
You
happy.
trust him. Yeah.
He's a man of his word. He's the sort of guy that every time I speak to him, I think, I need to sit up straight, be a better man. I want to be a bit more like John, And I've always thought that the world needs more Johns, definitely. So yeah, he works with us, and he's a prime example. He doesn't need to work with us. He chooses to work with us.
That's nice.
That comes through when he does his work. And we've got quite a few caregivers, thankfully, that are in that sort of position where they've chosen to work with us.
Go on then.
I was sorry. I've got a question. How do you teach your caregivers to deal with grief? Because they must see this quite often. Because going back to when I was in GP land, we had quite a few people come in, and the following week they weren't there. And it's that little bit, you had this connection with someone. You used to see them. They used to bring you Christmas gifts and biscuits to the office. And
connect,
absolutely.
Well, because when someone, if someone's ill, they're coming to you like twice a week sometimes.
Sometimes,
so they end up being your friends.
You can have injections. You could have them seen in the doctor. Sometimes they would actually need physical assistance in and out of the building. You'd go and help them. You'd have a chat. And it is, like you said, it is that communication that maybe brighten up their day just for that 5 minutes. And then the next week they're not there. And you read and you think, oh my God, they've actually passed away. And it does hit you sometimes, even though you don't really know them and really understand what they're going through. It still sort of hits you and think, oh my gosh, they're actually gone.
That is, when I started this business, that was the one thing where I thought to myself, am I emotionally geared up for that element? What I would say is, because of the work that we do, we do face that, but it's fairly rare.
Okay.
And the reason being is because if you look at the typical journey of many of our clients, what tends to happen is a lot of them will come on board early on, whether it's living with Parkinson's, dementia, or just might not have family around. So we come on quite early. And we will take them through, we'll be with them for a lot of the advanced stages. Towards the very end, one of a couple of things happens. Either they up their care, and it might be we move a living caregiver in,
right,
or it might be they go into a care home towards the end, so we don't.
Or like palliative care,
we do palliative
or
care,
hospice,
or it could be that they go to a hospice, or or whatever. So it's not an everyday occurrence, but it does happen. The first time it happened to me, it was somebody that I'd done care with myself. So, I got let down a few times in the early days and had to say, right, sleeves up, rubber gloves on, dive in. So,
but I find the business more then, right?
I couldn't run this business, certainly at the size we are now and the scale that we are now, without understanding what it's like on the front line.
Getting your hands dirty.
And literally. And I didn't want to be that guy that sat back and thought, I'm
too good for this.
Oh, yes, I'll answer the phone. No, we've got caregivers when it's, it's not just when it's sunny and cups of tea. Sometimes, you might have road closures and a snowstorm. And by hook or by crook, we still need to deliver that care. So it's that mindset of, whatever barrier you put in front of us, it's fine. We will just Imagineer a way through it, round it, over it, under it, but we're still going to deliver that care. We have to. And we've got all sorts of levels of contingency and reserve. So right through COVID, nobody that wanted care didn't get care. The only cancellations we made in extreme situations was some of the companionship calls. We had to rebook. So look, we can't do it today, but can we do it on Friday? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that's it.
Brilliant. Okay. So you say it's a franchise.
Yes.
So and this podcast is worldwide, Grantley, because it's so popular.
Well, it's growing. I've seen it.
Yeah. So how big is the franchise? Is it just UK based franchise?
No. Right. Actually, it's global. So it started out in America, I think it's about 20 years ago, in a place called Omaha. So that's the right at home brand, and it came into the UK, I think it was 12 years ago. And we've got 77 offices up and down the UK, including Scotland, Northern Ireland as well, I believe. So it's quite big.
So it's a caregiver's McDonald's.
Pretty much.
With no disrespect.
Pretty much, yeah. That's it. One on every street. So it's started out in Omaha, and it was like a clinical hospital director. He saw how care was being managed, and he said, "This is ridiculous. The way people are being discharged. People, they're just little cogs in a very big wheel."
It's a different story over there as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tough. It's like every time people complain about the NHS, I say, well, go live in America. Yeah. And if you haven't got much money, see how well your care is then. The NHS has its faults. Has its challenges, should I say, sorry. But they get there. They will save your life. So it's a good thing. It is a good thing.
So you're Medway. Where's your
For now?
Oh, right.
Yes.
So you can expand. So
Yes,
So
I
you
hope to.
do you want to say where the nearest one is to you?
Dartford is the next nearest
Oh, right.
one.
Okay.
Just a friend of mine just up the road. And then we've got...
Do you have meetings with these guys, annual meetings?
Yeah. So we had... I was in Liverpool last week. So our head... Well, it's called a national office rather than a head office. But I was up there last week for a couple of days. I'm part of what's called the Franchise Advisory Council.
Oh, right. Okay.
Recently joined that. So I was up there for their annual general meeting, but we have an annual conference which lasts 2.5 days, always in a sort of very nice place, and you get to meet a lot of the other owners. But in addition, I was in London for what's called a director's table. So a lot of other MDs from sort of the London and the Southeast area meet with the chairman, the CEO, and just have a frank talk, something like this about what's working, what's coming down the line, and sort of just chew the fat, as they say, chew the fat.
Have you ever had to sort of help out your local ones and they've helped you? And
Absolutely.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's the benefit of a franchise is, I can pick the phone up and say, God, recruitment was a challenge. What do you reckon? And, the first time we had a living package. Until I had one, I always thought, great, I'd love to have a living package. It's guaranteed hours for our caregiver. It's good for lots of reasons. Continuity for our client. It's a win at every level. And I was marketing for living marketing, didn't get any bites. And then one of our clients said, I need living. I need to go away. Like, can you do it in 2 days? I was like,
Oh my gosh.
I can do it in 2 days. There was slightly different paperwork. There's a lot more process around it. There's a lot more rigor to it as well, because obviously someone's there 24/7 and there's certain laws, employment laws we have to adhere to and blah, blah, blah. So the first one, it was like a school day, back to school again. Even though I was used to running the business, I wasn't used to doing living.
Section, yeah.
So, that was good fun.
So, obviously, if they're with each other 24/7, is it 20? Obviously, they've got to leave the house. Now, I don't know how it works, right?
2-hour break legally, plus a few natural breaks throughout the day.
Yeah. And, not everyone get on.
Absolutely. Which is why we do...
Like
another plug here for Right at Home. We do a thing called a meet and greet. So it's your opportunity to make sure that you are compatible with the client. And when we recruit, we also psychometrically assess our staff as well.
Yeah.
It's not a test, it's an assessment. So we kind of know these are quite gregarious, bombastic characters, right? Versus these are more sedentary characters. And if a client comes to us and says, right, I really want my caregiver to interact with mum, have a laugh, go out. Then we'll match the
character.
Yeah. And other times they say, I want someone that's going to deliver the medication, put a meal on the table, help dad wash in the morning and in the evening, get him to bed, and be invisible the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Fine. We have other caregivers that are better suited to that. And that's why we do these psychometric assessments.
And that's all good, but you must address.
And we still get it wrong sometimes.
In a week or two, like, how's it going? Because I used to like Rachel originally. But now I'm happy for her to help you out on the 24-hour thing.
That is hilarious.
But he didn't do any of those psychometric tests on me before we got together.
No one's come up to us and said,
interesting observation. Did you hear that?
Yes. The annoying thing is no one's come back and said, how are you two getting on?
In marriage, in life.
Yeah, no one ever says that. Yeah. And I relate to that because I kind of cheekily smile because my wife is the operations director, and it's very few people can do that, and do it with a smile. And listening to you two is just like Claire and I in the office a lot of the time. A lot of backwards and forwards. And banter, and I have a bit of a dry sense of humour as well. So, as do the team. So there's a lot of backwards and forwards. Yeah, and that's kind of how we do it.
That's the only way. I mean, you must have a strong foundation to be able to work with each other and live with each other and be with each other the whole time.
And socialise. Yeah,
you have to have that foundation.
Yeah. I mean, I think working together in business, it's a brand new level. So you know how to socialise, you know how to date. And then you have kids, and that's a brand new test on the marriage, right? And then you go into business together, and it's a whole other level.
It's another level of stress.
Yeah.
As much as I slag her off, which I like.
But only
I could spend every minute of every day.
No, We all know that. Oh,
Okay, we have such
they're having a
laugh.
moment together, guys. I'll just step back, right? Yeah.
No, but like, when we have a wedding together, I mean, they know they've booked photography and video. We're like, we're gonna have a right laugh. We're gonna have a good day
Because
we're together.
and we
And
know.
you do. I've seen you guys work many times and seen a lot of your podcasts. And even when you guys are in person, like at the BNI meetings and stuff, it is literally like this. There is no staging going on. This is how you guys are all the time.
I just sat about winding her up all day long, even when no one's watching. You know, I would do it. I just like winding her up, and she does get wound up.
Like last night.
Don't worry, I'll wind Claire up every day.
I'll give you a clear example. Last night, I went to the gym. I was literally putting all my stuff in the locker, and the locker wouldn't shut. He then phones up. Bearing in mind, I've left him 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes. He's been with me most of the afternoon. 5 minutes ago, and he phones me up and goes, "I've got a story to tell you." I'm like, can you wait until I get home? I've got 45 minutes of the gym before it closes. I need to do this. Oh, can I just tell you it now? Because it's really funny. So then he sits there and I'm trying to put all my stuff in the locker, trying to get my card out. I'm like, go ahead. Just tell me. Hurry
Knock yourself out. There you go. Just give me everything you got. Yeah, definitely.
It was worth it as well.
It was worth it. Oh, God.
I could see that.
That's brilliant. So we'll get the information from right at Home Medway at the end. We'll put it all at the end.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
And now we're moving on to something slightly different, but gone back techie. Gone back to tech, to Connect by Tech.
The other company that I've set up. Yeah.
How do you have time?
I wonder that on an hourly basis, literally.
And yet he's here with us doing the
it's
podcast
phones,
today.
yeah. He's got loads of phones ringing in his office at the moment.
So Connect by Tech, I started that earlier on this year, and that's a telecommunications company.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't actually fancy going too deep into IT because, like I said, I've kind of 23 years, I've been there, done. And it's not cool. It wasn't like as exciting as it was when I was 21. But I wanted to do something that had a bit of a technical flair to it. And it started out, so in our office, we had a load of phones, voice over IP phones, and I wanted to upgrade them. And I looked at various options and I'd spoken to different companies and I thought, it doesn't have to. It really doesn't. I want this. I'm happy to pay for it. Can you just,
I need that link.
just give me what I've asked for, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, bloody hell. I mean, I thought, flipping heck. Sorry.
You're all right. That's fine.
And
We've had worse.
I don't swear usually. I just thought I could do this myself. So I did. So I set up a company called Connect by Tech.
So your background must have helped this setting up of the company.
It kind of does help a bit because we had a lot of issues with our... so I put in new phones, new wireless headsets rather than picking up a phone like this. Everyone has wireless headsets now, which is really cool. If they're like me, I get up and I walk all over the office and I'm doing something else and talking to someone on the phone and then writing down things at the same time. So that was helpful. And then I put in some high-speed internet as well. And when it all went in, we had some issues. And I was working with the engineers and the techies to fix it. And I think having an IT background was helpful. And I thought, I think I might be onto something here because I actually do understand a lot of the networking talk and how networking issues work and how to get around it. And when we put the new phones in, we had some configuration issues. And I thought, oh, so that happens if we don't do what you told us to do the first time. And all of that. So I thought I could probably sell this to other people. There's lots of companies about my size that need a phone or need a few phones. By the way, plug number 2, if you need a business telephone, give us a call. All right.
It's not just that, is it? You do, like you say, internet, telephones. It was something else.
So we do business. We can do your landlines for your telephones. We do the internet. We do mobile phones, mobile devices like tablets. We can do some smartwatches. I can source IT equipment as well, if required. And, we could do like office moves if required and that kind of stuff. And we also do energy as well.
That's
gas and electric.
Yes.
So I use company 1 to help company 2 and it brings the cost down. And I thought, I can do this for other people. And that's really where that came. It's a bit of frustration. I mean, I had a good telecoms company. They were good, but when I looked at others, sometimes I got frustrated and, generally busy a lot of the time. Sometimes I just need a straight answer.
Yeah.
A few things challenge me more than not getting a straight answer for something,
I think the worst thing is, especially when it comes to internet, is you're paying for this really fast broadband, but yet it's still going for a 30-year-old telephone line
Copper cable
before
at the
it
end.
gets to your home.
Mm-hmm.
Even if this copper cable is 12 inches long, it's slowed down.
It doesn't matter how fast everything is. It can go at whatever speed, and it gets to your front door and it goes snail pace.
Yeah.
And that was what we had in our office. So I ripped out all of that and I brought fiber right into the building.
And what you say,
a game changer.
And you say you can get that sorted out for people's homes as well, can't you? Is that right? Oh, right. I thought you said that to me.
No. So for the homes, in all honesty, we can. Is a simple answer. I would say there's other companies that can be a little bit more competitive than us for internet to homes. When it's internet into a commercial, we can normally beat most people.
Okay, right. Okay.
But with the phones, getting office phones or your mobiles and so on, we can normally do it cheaper and give you more features for less money.
So yours is usually a business. Sorry, yours is a business related thing.
Business to business usually, but we can do home. I'll be my 15-year-old daughter decided she needs an iPhone. I mean, they don't ask for much, but either of our children, they rarely ask us for things, so we always try and accommodate where we can. And I was thinking, why do you need an iPhone? Talk Daddy through this, So we're still thinking about that.
Tell her she's got to come up with a sales pitch,
yes.
and then you'll decide at the end.
Absolutely, yeah.
Get her with that business mindset.
She's already told me she wants to take over both businesses. I said, well, no, one fit. Either you both run both, or one of you takes one and one takes the other. No, Daddy, I can do them both myself. We'll see.
Talking of iPhones, our daughter's got an iPhone chip. It's an old one, isn't it? Like 6 Plus or something. I replace the screen nearly every other week.
Oh yeah, there's that as well.
It's ridiculous.
There's that as well, yeah.
We tell her that she has to pay for it now.
Yeah, getting used to the value of money.
Absolutely.
Trees, kids, yeah. No.
Absolutely. Right. But it's more for her because obviously she has to get the bus to school and we just need to know that she's safe, that she's able to, and any time that she needs to just even FaceTime us just to talk to us, we know she's got the accessibility to do that.
Yeah, you can't have the technology. Well, our view on that was we understand some of the downsides of technology and, having a mobile phone, but boy, as a parent, it gives you peace of mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we told her we're going to have the app, the tracker app.
Absolutely.
Just in case anything goes wrong.
Daddy knows where to go, Mummy knows where to send.
And she was absolutely fine with that, wasn't she?
Yeah,
and then we had to look at her just to make sure, because we didn't hear from her. She normally texts us to say, got to school fine, at school. And one day we didn't. So we had to look at this app and we looked down and you can see where she was going. And it was literally like this. She'd gone to all of her classes all over the school. Hilarious. And it was literally like this.
Yeah.
And I said, no wonder you're exhausted with all that walking you do all day.
Well, she got her steps in for the day,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant.
Talking about steps.
Oh, God. You're going there, aren't you? Take a sip.
I'm going there.
Hopefully we'll edit this.
You had a bit of a dancing career. Am I right in saying dancing career, Grantley, or was it a hobby? It wasn't
a career. No, bless her. So my mum decided the best way to avoid me wandering the streets, basically wandering the mean streets of Medway, was to put me into just about every conceivable club known to man, woman, or child.
Right, so let's stop a bit. You said Medway. Do you mean South London, or was you still young in Medway?
Both. So I came down to Medway. I can't remember how old I was. It's been, I don't know, late 70s. I was about 5, I think.
Oh, right. Okay.
I've been down there a long, long time.
Right. Okay. I didn't know that for some reason. We didn't cover that. But go on. I'm happy now.
We covered that out there. Done it again. You can't take me anywhere. Literally, I'll sit in my arms folded all the time. It's like a drum kit.
He's used to it. Don't worry.
Oh, dear.
People are still listening. I don't know why, because there's just loads of banging going on.
So I did also, I was very fortunate. I was in the air training corps. That was probably the best thing I did as a kid. I did all sorts of let's just say I did lots of things, played some musical instruments, and and did
What did you
dancing.
play?
Excuse me.
play?
Moving on.
What did you used to play?
I did the cornet. I
Right.
did the trumpet.
Yeah.
Did the piano.
Yeah.
And then later on did the drums as well.
Oh, right. Brilliant.
But that was as an adult.
Your mum
That's
did
nice.
not want you in the house, did she?
So have you got a drum kit? Got a drum kit?
I've got an artificial drum kit, not
Have
a real
you?
one yet at home.
We got a full band in B&I then.
Oh no! I'd love to have pursued that, but it's just the time, you know.
Right, yeah.
And then as an adult, another hobby was like flying. So
Yeah.
because I couldn't become a pilot, I had to do something. So I got my private pilot's license for autogyros, and I had one up at Rochester Airport
Right,
for
yeah.
a couple of years. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was great fun.
So you haven't flown for a while?
No, I sold the aircraft when we moved to Frankfurt because the UK have their own regulations for the
Okay.
Right.
aircraft.
Mm.
And the same aircraft in Germany has like a different center of gravity and some lights in the different positions, and some things are slightly different. And I have to chop it up
Right.
to make it Germany worthy. And then when I was to come back to the UK, no one would touch it because I'd have a
Modified.
yeah, I was going to say a naughty word there, but let's just say a modified aircraft, which would then be worthless.
Yep.
So I just sold it, got market value, and
So what's an autogyro? Is that one where the propeller goes round?
yeah. So if you
It
imagine
just
the
spins.
helicopter,
That's the wing, isn't it? It's
that
weird.
becomes the wing. Yeah, but
It's not
that-
actually propelled.
It's not powered by that.
No,
What
it's
it is,
really weird.
so a helicopter, it does propel the what's called the rotor,
Yeah.
and that disc becomes your wing.
Mm.
All right. With an autogyro, it's free flowing, and you
I've seen
have
them
the
at
engine.
Rochester. I've seen them. at
Yeah,
Rochester,
it was amazing. So, I would like take off, and if the wind, it doesn't hover really, but you can hover if the wind is correct. So on a really windy day, I could point her into the wind like this and
Right.
just hover.
Oh my
Unbelievable.
God.
Or you could take off and do a really tight turn and fly straight
It's
back down
amazing.
the runway.
Oh.
And I used to love just flying down the coast. So take off at Rochester, fly down the coast, go over to the Isle of, fly over like St. Mary's Island, and then over the Isle of Sheppey, fly around it. And you see all the people out on their boats, they'll wave at you, and I'd do like a tight turn and make a lot of noise, and sort of, yeah, I can do stuff too. And they go around in circles, we can do stuff too. And then it's like, okay, see ya, I'm off. And then go down and come back via, say, Leeds Castle,
Yeah.
or fly
That's
to
cool.
another airfield, have a bacon sandwich, which is mandatory.
So what other airfields would you land at?
Head-
Is there a
Headcorn?
number of them in Kent that you can choose? from?
Yeah, I would fly to Essex.
Headcorn?
I've flown to Headcorn.
Yeah.
Headcorn was the most horrible runway
It's tiny.
because it was so bumpy.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they do
Grass.
a lot of parachute jumps from there. The aircrafts have these big jumbo tires, and it just destroys the runway.
Right.
So in my little autogyro, I remember landing was fine. It was a really bumpy landing one time, and I went in, signed in, had something to eat. I thought, right, time to go now. I'm going to go down to Lyd, which is like a very small, but it is an international airport. Like the runway was like this big, and my plane is like this, which is all good fun. But taking off at Lyd, I got all this stick vibration. So I'm trying to take off, and I'm thinking, well,
Something's wrong.
I'm keeping my hand on the throttle here and covering the brakes in case of anything. Stick back, so you get the airflow in an autogyro. And the stick was going all over the place. And I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to get out of here? I live miles away from Headcorn, right? I need to get home. And I just couldn't get any speed. And I'm running out of runway. And we have, I can't remember the term, but say if the runway is, I don't know, 100 meters, you have, there's a point of no return.
Yes.
You have to make a decision. You either commit to the takeoff or you abort the takeoff.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at that point and I'm thinking, well, it's just there. And this stick is going like this. And I'm trying to, and it was a one day where there's a ton of people watching as well to make it worse, right?
Yeah.
And then in the end, she just about got up off the ground and went down again. And I bounced up and down a couple of times, just about got the airspeed up and took off. And I thought, well, I'm never landing at that airfield again. And then flew down to Lyd.
And it's a one seater,
tarmac.
this, isn't it?
No, two seats.
Oh, it is a two, right?
Yeah,
okay.
I could take one whole passenger at a time.
Do you have to weigh them and stuff?
Yeah, there are weight limits. Yeah, that is a thing. There is weight limits.
Well, there are with most helicopters as well, isn't there? They
any
spread
of those
you out.
Even on the commercial jets, there are all sorts of limits and crosswind limitations and all that kind of jazz. But then after that, I flew down to Lid, and I had this runway that I thought, God, I'm flying down this runway for what seemed like minutes, but it was so big because it's built to take jets. And at the very end, then I bring her down, touchdown, went and had something to eat, relaxed, because I'm still traumatized by that landing at Lid or the takeoff coming out of Headcorn. And then there's a couple of places in Essex I used to fly to. But just on a nice sunny day, just sometimes going out in a t-shirt and buzzing the skies, and sometimes just playing around in the sky because you can. That was amazing.
Wicked.
That was If I get it's more a time thing now. But as my kids get a bit older, I might do that or take up fishing again.
Because I did an advert once. Your friend, wasn't it?
Grantley, it's hilarious.
He was filming at Rochester Airport, and his friend. You were actually working with your friend, weren't you? And they said they needed an advert or they needed something promotional or something like that.
The flip planes that are there, they all got G Flip written on them. I think
I've heard of them.
Yeah, there's about 4 or 5 different ones, isn't there?
And so he phoned me up. Clive, yeah.
I can't remember his surname.
Okay.
And
or something like that.
And I was at work, and he said, "Right, I know you got half a day, you know. I need you." And I was like, "Why do you need me? Do you need camera equipment or something?" He went, No. They want you to pretend to be a student." And I went, okay. I went, "I've just eaten, so please tell me I'm not going to go upside." No, you won't go upside down. You're just going to be.
This is Simon saying it's going to be all right.
Yeah, this is about 5 years ago. So I said, okay, as long as I'm just a student and they're going to teach me how to fly a plane, absolutely fine.
Amazing.
I get there, I sit in there and they go, right, we're just going to go this way, and then we're going to do some aerobatics.
We've got another crew and another plane filming it. So I'm filming it from down below.
God, love that.
I'm getting takeoff and landing.
If it happens again, give me a call.
Anyway, they were turning the engine off on
Yeah, I literally had
plummeting, turning it back. Doing all
I
that.
think we had 3 moves. We had like the barrel roll, we had the loop.
Amazing.
And then it was this one. He said, right, this is a bit scary. And he went, he told me what we were going to do. And I went, oh, you're going to turn the engine off on me? He went, yes. And he said there was a focal point. So again, we went down to the Isle of Sheppey and came back. And I think it was the 249. Nice we had to focus on the 249, and we went up. And then he went like that. And he went, I'm turning the engine off. Turn the engine off. And you literally fall to the floor. And my hair in the video just went, and on that one, I had to close my eyes. The others, I opened my eyes. On that one, I just
Amazing. Love that.
I was at the end, I was like, oh, thanks for that, Simon.
No, it's brilliant.
It was really good.
Aerobatics are really cool.
I had to go and film at Detlin, didn't I? I had to be on the hill. Was you still in the plane?
No, I was helping you.
So
that was just,
we made him do the same acrobatics, and we pretended you was in that plane with the same acrobatics. Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah, I remember that. It's a while back.
Nice.
But that was really fun. I loved that.
Okay, brilliant. Anything else you want to cover, mate, or have you embarrassed yourself?
I've thoroughly embarrassed myself, and
you never really hit the dancing. You managed to swipe.
He did. He went dancing, and then
swerve. And I thought I've got away with it. I have to talk
everyone
about
wants to see the dance, or hear about the dance, or even see
it.
You know what? When I was, how old was I? I think I was about 17. This isn't another swerve, by the way. But I worked for a couple of months in a bar. And somehow it got out that I did dancing, right? While I'm working in a bar, and I just thought, oh my gosh. And I remember these, so I was I must have been 18 if I was working there. And there was like this notorious family in this particular bar, and they said, "Is that right? You do dancing? Is that right?" And I was thinking, oh my God, how did that get out? And he said, "Well, go on then, do some."
Oh no! I
was like, "What?"
I know he was going to be your puppet.
And I said, "Well, my hands are kind of full. I was picking up every glass I could find. My hands are kind of full at the moment." I said, "I'll tell you what, maybe another time." Thinking, how do I avoid ever seeing this whole family again? But to answer the question, I did dance as a kid.
Right.
I did tap, jazz, modern, and ballet. So I took a bit of stick at school.
Our son does it. He's 8.
Until it came to me then doing athletics. And obviously you had like a lot of leg strength and core strength through the ballet. So I was able to be a fairly decent sprinter. And that was how I kind of balanced out go on then, Grantley, you're wearing a tutu. Do a 12 for us, you know.
Yeah. And then just go, all right,
let's do the 100 metres. Yeah, you're welcome.
You did it in a harsher time.
And the 80s wasn't like now.
Yeah.
Like, it was a harsh
strictly, everyone likes it, and it doesn't matter if
it's cool. Dancing's pretty cool now, but back then it was kind of, what do you do dancing for?
Yeah.
What do you want to do that for? Because I can.
Yeah.
They're all good.
I think it's a brilliant thing because it shows like Ted's got a few friends as well, isn't it? And he says,
your son dances as well.
He does.
Amazing. What does
he does ballet, and I think it's like a disco-y type jazz type thing as well. So
it's his first year, wasn't it? And it was funny.
Are there many boys there?
No,
he's the only one
in his year, and he doesn't care. But they were trying on all the uniforms for the show, weren't they?
Oh, the costumes, yeah.
Oh, I love the shows doing shows.
So they're measuring up the girls for the dresses, and he went to the teacher, am I wearing a dress?
Oh, bless him.
And she went, do you want to? He went, if you want.
Love it.
Care. He doesn't care. But they dressed him like a Quality Street. He was in this like purple soldier type stuff.
But he came out and he was so proud to be on that stage. And I thought,
it's such a good feeling.
I loved it.
I used to like the best thing about the dancing. So every other year we'd do a show. One year was all about getting your next exams nailed. And then the next
in between
year,
it was shows, then exam show.
One year was shows, and we did a lot of shows, did some competitions as well. But I loved it. I loved the camaraderie. I loved all the rehearsals, and then when you do that show and you please the crowd, it's an amazing feeling.
I think he likes it because he's very much like his dad. He's very much surrounded by girls, and he loves it. Absolutely loves it. Goes in there and they're like, "Hi, Ted." He's like, "Hi, girls."
Well, I couldn't possibly comment. Yeah.
Just like his father.
Total respect.
Right. It's been brilliant having you on.
It's been an absolute blast. It's a pleasure. It's just like another day at a BNI meeting. It didn't feel like a podcast.
Good. No problem at all.
Telephone your details.
Yes. If you or one of your loved ones would like to have some care or even some companionship, our company's right at Home Medway. Our number is 01634 979 000. So that's 01634 979 000. If you have any telecommunications needs, business phones, mobile phones, tablets, anything like that, anything to do with tech, give me a call. That's 01634 again, 565 565. And that company is Connect by Tech. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you so
thanks
much.
For coming on, mate.
Pleasure.
Good to see you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Simon.
And we'll see you again on Monday. Thank you very much. Bye. This podcast has been brought to you by Snugdubs Campervan Hire.
Roam the world, park anywhere.
That's snugdubs.co.uk. This podcast was brought to you today by Austin's Eatery on Station Road, Strood.
Try the Viking Challenge.